Hello. My name is Mr. Mano Elia. Again, in keeping with the previous video, this is going to be kind of serious, which you may not be used to seeing on here, or depending on how well you know me at all. Anyways, here it goes. The reason why I'm making this is because I just finished making the video about telling my 2-year-old daughter about death, explaining it to her and all that, her grandfather's death, my father-in-law. So after doing that, I thought to myself, maybe it'd be appropriate if I said a few things about him. There was a lot to learn about, throughout his life, I guess, and the weekend of his funeral. So why I'm having a hard time here is because I'm trying to keep with the previous video and not sugarcoating anything. So I'll just get into it. My father-in-law, made a lot of mistakes, some not so good mistakes, and at the funeral, I'm sure many people thought about some of the stuff he has done over the years, and myself included. And I was having a conversation with my brother-in-law on a few interesting subjects. One of them touched upon the concept of compassion, and basically my opinion is compassion also has to have an element of blunt truth. I'm not saying he disagreed or fully agreed. That's not the point of this video, is it? But it helped a lot having that conversation. So yeah, I believe to get to the bottom of true compassion, you require a certain form of bluntness, minus the judgment, which is really, really tough to do. And I'm no saint. I've been accused of being judgmental many a times, and in many occasions I guess I would have agreed, or do agree. I've been, over the last couple of years, trying to not do that, and there's an element of using judgment for learning, not judging someone for their actions that you yourself do, but kind of seeing that you do a lot of the same things you're judging someone else for, that you kind of see the flaws in others that you yourself exhibit tenfold usually, and using that as a benchmark to kind of maybe correct your flaws. That's kind of how I've been trying to use it. Poor programming in the subconscious is gonna have some, it's gonna leave some moments where you actually lose track of that and judge. Anyways, so back to the father-in-law. So he made a lot of mistakes, and as the whole event was going on, I found myself judging him here and there, and was reminded of a principle I'd learned in a book that I will discuss eventually on my other channel, Study of Stuff. And in this, it describes how duality, just looking at things in a black and white, on and off, light and dark sort of way, you forget about the varying degrees in the middle. So a good way of showing this was giving the example of a thermometer. On a thermometer, you clearly see one end is hot, the other end is cold, and in between there are varying degrees of hot and cold. At what point does something begin being cold and stop being hot, and vice versa? Well, really, that's a relative way. It's relative, really. I mean, think about it. For someone, something might be cold, for someone, something might be hot, and so on and so forth. You get what I'm going with this. Or the other example is the old-fashioned light switch of on and off. There's only two options. Either it's on, light, or off, light. But with the dimmer switch, there's varying degrees in the middle. So the same thing with something that's right or wrong. And as I lost myself in judgment, at one point, I tried to remind myself of that principle, and I was hoping that other people did too. I'm sure they did, because there was a lot of people that definitely mourned for him, and I'm sure they were thinking of some good moments they had with the old man. So one of the stories that came to mind was a story of how he came over to my sister-in-law and brother-in-law's house to give my niece and nephew a present. So gives these kids the present, it's plural presents, and waiting for them to open it. The look on his face was priceless, man. You could feel the heat coming off his heart in anticipation of like the look on their faces and the, you know, just the feeling that they have. Like you could see that he really wanted them to enjoy it, and he like couldn't wait. He was more excited than they were. And anyways, that showed me a whole different side of the man, a side of love and a side of compassion, something that I wasn't sure he had up until that moment. Another couple stories where my parents like to also mention this one a lot, how when they went to his house and he prepared them a meal, and how hospitable he was, him and my mother-in-law, and how proud he was of the meal he had cooked for them, and you know, he wanted to make them happy, to make us happy. And you know, people tend to forget these types of stories. I know I forgot these stories, had to remind myself. Had to also remind myself of my flaws, and you know, look around the room at people that may have been judging him and forgetting that the varying degrees of in the middle of things they do that aren't right. Like for example, the previous video about lying. You know, you might think, well, this person abused their children this way, and well, I don't do that. But telling them certain lies or leading them along for making certain decisions in their lives, and you're trying to manipulate their future, you know, it's really the same thing in a lot of ways. Sometimes it's not so obvious and not so damaging. Like for example, if you smoke, you know, that's an obvious damage to your body. But if you're devouring crappy food, well, maybe that's not so obvious, is it? But you know what? There's very little difference. Anyways, I just wanted to remind myself in this video that, you know, stop doing that. And maybe his passing and that event might help people to think that, you know, maybe they're doing some stuff that's not so cool. Anyways, there's always a good story to be told in anyone's life. And I guess it's kind of important to collect good ones. And also make good memories. And hope that people, you know, realize that we all kind of suck sometimes. Anyways, just want to say goodbye to Camilo, and hope you can leave the baggage behind, my friend. Could be expensive taking them along with you on the ride. Hope you cross over well, sir, and see you on the other side, my friend. You will be missed. Bye-bye.